Hey everybody, and welcome in to Big Men on Betting. If you enjoy this channel, you enjoy this video, do me a favor, hit the like button and let me know what you think of today's discussion in the comment section below. If you're new around here, you just haven't done it yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button below now so you never miss another Big Men on Betting video. Today, we are going to break it all down. 3 NFL futures you have to get on as we head in to the 2023 season. And for me, I love futures. And it's important you're taking a look every day to the futures market in the NFL and other sports as the seasons begin. I'm going to go through 3 teams that I think have worthy value, 2 to win the Super Bowl and 1 to make the playoffs. Let's get into it. Last year, I chose the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl, and they came up just short. This year, they come into the season at 10-1. And what I like to do when I look at NFL futures and when I'm gauging the teams, where were they last year in the pecking order and what prevented them from winning a Super Bowl? And as we remember, in the late guts of the season last year, the Cincinnati Bengals lost a last-second game to the eventual Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. But we have to remember, with 40 seconds to go, the Cincinnati Bengals had the ball and were driving. They were within about 25 yards of field goal range and kicking the ball in and going to the next round. They were that close. But if we remember, the Bengals did what they do best and gave up a sack. The 2 problems that the Cincinnati Bengals have continued to have over the last couple of years is the offensive and defensive lines. And it was really the difference in the game last season. Not to count the fact they had 9 penalties in that game. This was not an over-penalized team last season. So what did they do this year to better themselves? Look, we don't need to talk about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. We know this offense can score the football, and we know that this team's going to put points on the board. But what did they do to improve the trenches? Because, again, they were that close to going to the Super Bowl. What did they do now? Well, they went out and shored up the offensive line. You have to look at the last 2 years. The Cincinnati Bengals have been in the bottom 5 in sacks allowed per game. That just will not win you football games. And to me, if you remember, they gave up a sack in the guts of the game to Chris Jones, and it made it 4th down, and it took them back, several yards. It was the difference in the game, really. This is the difference. It has been the difference for this team over the last 2 years. They go out, and what do? They sign one of the better tackles in the NFL in Orlando Brown. Now, on the surface, it's a great signing because, as we know, several years ago, they drafted Jonah Williams to play right tackle. So their tackles now, the bookend tackles, are good to go. This will feverishly improve their offensive line. And what do we know about Orlando Brown? He has talked very openly about his relationship with Joe Mixon. Recently, he has discussed the fact that they're really excited. According to an article written recently, I'm so happy, man. I'm always talking to Joe, man, always vibing out with him out there on the field. We've spent so much time together. He also details the fact that we came into Oklahoma together. They're very happy and excited to get out there on Sundays again. And look, Joe Mixon is the bell cow running back on this football team. This is a guy who you have a rapport with. Joe Burrow can finally realize that he has a pretty damn good group of tackles preventing his, getting at his backside, getting at him as he's in the pocket. Getting a guy like Orlando Brown is really helpful. You look at the rest of this depth chart on the offensive line. Alex Kappa is a pretty damn good right guard. Ted Karras, longtime center in the NFL. You also have some good depth now with Max Sharping and Hakeem Adeniji, Lyle Collins. All of a sudden, you have a pretty decent offensive line with this team. They have to be better. This team has not been good on the offensive line, and they need to get better. You look at the defensive line. This was another problem for this team last year. Do I think they've addressed it? Well, I think they kind of have. You look at the fact that they bring in the NFL draft Myles Murphy, a guy who I think will benefit from great coaching in the NFL, has a great quick lateral step off the edge. I think get by opposing left tackle, right tackle, wherever you place him. The truth is, though, this team, they have to be better at getting to the quarterback. Their top rusher last year, Trey Hendrickson, he was 30th in the NFL with 8.5 sacks. Sam Hubbard, he has not performed. These two, both their sack numbers declined precipitously in 2023. This team was one of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL at getting to the quarterback. So what do they have 2 problems with? Getting to the quarterback and allowing their quarterback to be sacked. This was a damn good defense. I don't think you see much drop off there, but they've got to get better in the trenches. They were good against the run. They did a good job really everywhere, but allowing their quarterback to be sacked too much, which prevented the offense from being a top 3 offense. And in the guts of the game, they did some pretty stupid things. You can't have the stupid penalties. This team wasn't over-penalized. But I look at them at 10-1, and I say, to me, truly, I think you make the case for the second best team in the AFC. I think they probably should be a bit higher in the market. I think 10-1 is a great price. To me, this is the team I'm picking again to win the Super Bowl because I'm taking wholesale changes. Do they need that many? No. But to me, some of the changes they needed to make, they already have. They just need better performances, which you'll probably get out of Hendrickson and Hubbard. And you add Myles Murphy, who could develop into a Josh Sweat type of player, right? They need to be better in the trenches, and I think they will be. The second team that I want to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers, who I also selected to win the Super Bowl at 10-1. I think this price is too high on them as well. I think they should probably be more 7-8-1. This is a team who, let's throw out the NFC title game. We have to do it. They had no quarterback. They were down to a team that couldn't throw the football. That's what they were in. Brock Purdy was injured. Josh Johnson they were all over the place. We have to put that performance out and put it in the rear view. Did they hamper on that a lot in the offseason? Yes. I think they're going to remember it. They have a chip on their shoulder, which, again, when I have the best defense in the NFL, which is what they were, giving up just 17 points a game last year, I have to like my chances. This is also a team, okay? Remember, they're going to get a healthy Brock Purdy back, we think. Remember, when healthy, this guy was terrific. He's come out of nowhere. Remember, he was Mr. Irrelevant, I believe, in the NFL draft when he was selected several years ago out of Iowa State University. This guy can sling the football. They have a good group of receivers, have a really good offensive line. You also look at Christian McCaffrey. He needs to stay healthy. Christian McCaffrey in the last 3 seasons has played just 27 games in 3 seasons. That's not enough. You look at the fact that, he even missed some games last year. He needs to be in there. He needs to be healthy, and he's got a full season now with this new team. They go how McCaffrey goes. He needs to perform well, and if he does, the San Francisco 49ers are going to have one of the best offenses in the NFL. It's just that simple. But what they did on defense is really scary if you're an opposing team, especially in the NFC West, the NFC. Because let's just be honest, guys. Outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, this conference is horrible. Horrible. When the Detroit Lions are 4th as far as odds in this conference to win it, it is a terrible conference. To me, it's a 2-team race, the Eagles and the Niners. Maybe the Cowboys can find a way if you get a transcendent season from Dakota Prescott. But other than that, there's just not much talent in this division, this conference. There's not much there. But when you look at defensively, this is the best team in the NFL statistically last year defensively. What do? Well, I think they realized, hey, we have a guy in Nick Bosa. When we look at rankings, Nick Bosa was right up there. Number 1 in the NFL in sacks, 18.5 sacks a game. 2.5 better than Hassan Reddick, number 2. But then it is a major drop-off. No one else. So what do? They go to the team that beat them in the NFC title game, the Philadelphia Eagles, and say, you know what? We're going to take a guy in Javon Hargrave. 11 sacks last year. 11. That's top 15 in the NFL. Had 60 tackles last season. Also had a couple of pass deflections. Had 10 tackles for loss. And we're going to put him on this defensive line. So we have to figure the San Francisco 49ers are going to be at the top or within the top 5 in total defense. Because to be fair, other than that and the addition of Hargrave, I mean, they didn't lose much here. This team is still going to be one of the best teams in the NFL defensively. So Kyle Shanahan, the continued building rapport with Brock Purdy. He needs to be healthy. If he can stay healthy, this team, the sky's the limit. And remember, I'm looking at the other team and I'm saying, yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl, but they were remarkably healthy the whole season. And knock on wood, many people know I'm an Eagles fan, but there's the truth of the fact that they're probably not going to stay that healthy this season. They're also, when you get to the NFC title game, they had a major leg up. The Philadelphia Eagles had a team that couldn't throw the football against them. That's probably not going to happen this time around. So I'm looking at both these Super Bowl matchups, and I have two teams that are ready-made to win right now. They've addressed things that they've had issues with. And as long as you get good health news, because look, any future you bet comes down to health. Plus, I think I'm getting 2 damn good prices on these teams. The third team I'm going to mention and final team is maybe a bit of a surprise, but I think this is the biggest possible rags to riches story that we have in the NFL. This team could be 4-12, but I think they're going to be more like a playoff team. The Indianapolis Colts. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. They hired a guy called Shane Steichen, and we go back to the scene of the crime, the Philadelphia Eagles. This guy did some wonders with Jalen Hurts. We see he did some wonders with other quarterbacks, including Justin Herbert. This guy just knows how to win. He knows how to perform, and he knows how to build a great NFL quarterback. And that's what young quarterbacks, it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Quarterback play and coaching. Does your young quarterback have the right guy guiding him? And Steichen, I think, is just the guy for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson could be the next great quarterback in the NFL. He has all the physical tools. He has the abilities. This team last year, just quite frankly, wasn't very good offensively. They only eclipsed 30 or more points 3 times. But one thing that must be discussed, they had one tie, but in 11 games last year, they lost by 7. They lost or tied 7 points or less, 11 times. A lot of the time, those things go the better way the next season. This was a pretty competitive football team. They had a pretty good defense. And one of the things that I've been asking this football team to do is solidify the quarterback position, because since Andrew Luck, they have not had a legitimate quarterback there, one that you can depend on. And I asked them to go out and get a playmaker. Anthony Richardson is that playmaker, but is also another guy, Joshua Downs. If you follow college football the way I do, you know Josh Downs. And what do we know? Shane Steichen, RPO, Anthony Richardson, flashy guy. Quick speed on the outside, little guy, water bug type of receiver. Josh Downs can make some hay maybe in the return game. He can be the guy that we're looking at and saying, wow, this guy, maybe has the same effect of like a Treylon Burks, someone like that. Not the same type of player physically, but the same type of, playmaker. Sky Moore, a guy like that. Josh Downs is a player, and he's a guy that if you're looking in the fantasy markets, you got to target. He could be a real nice option for this team, because be real, when you look at the Indianapolis Colts roster, when you look at their depth chart, there's not a lot here. You add Josh Downs, and you also add in free agency Isaiah McKenzie. That instantly makes this team better. And what do we know? When you give a quarterback a new good coach and good weapons, they generally perform well. Case in point, Josh Allen. Josh Allen in his first season didn't really have any weapons. What do? You go out and get him Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis has better seasons. Now, I'm not saying that McKenzie and Josh Downs are Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, but it makes a remarkable improvement for a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson. You have a good run game there. We know Zach Moss and John Taylor are terrific. You know, I just look at this team and I think a lot of the things that didn't happen in 2022, where you went 4-12-1, I think a lot of those breaks probably more or less go your way. And what do we know about this team? You look at this division. Okay, I know people want to just anoint the Jags as great, but I don't know just yet. I think they're a decent team. Are they a team that I'm existentially saying are better than any other team in this division? No. You look at the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I guess there's some excitement there, but is anyone looking at them and saying, they're significantly better than anybody? No. I look at the Colts and I say, I don't even need them to win the division. Just find your way to, get in the playoffs as a depth chart thing, or not as a depth chart thing, as a wild card thing. 4-1, I think it's a decent price on them. Because again, why am I going to bet win totals laying $1.10, $1.20 when I can just say, well, to hit their win total, they're going to likely get near the playoffs. I'll just go with that. I think this team can make the playoffs. Now, they could be 3-14. That's possible. But I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Colts fan. I think Shane Steichen could make this team a massive winner. Remember, 11 games last year, they lost by 7 points or less. And a lot of them were by 3 or 4 points or less. This team is right there in a lot of games. And what have we seen with a team like the Lions? They find ways the next year to win those games. So the Colts are an interesting team. I'm excited to see what they have. They've got to be better. They got to stop taking bad penalties. They got to be better, kind of across the board. I think they're a pretty good defense. This was a top 10 rushing defense last year. You look all of a sudden at this coaching staff, Gus Bradley, pretty damn good coach. I think they can do some things. So what did we do? 3 teams you got to bet on to me as we head into the NFL season. We're far away. We're about a month from training camp. We're still, a little ways away, but, about actually more than that, 4 weeks, 5 weeks away. But some things you should kind of start looking at because these numbers will drop. Somebody gets injured, and it's kind of a gift and a curse because someone could get injured. Someone could make a move, maybe, someone goes out and adds somebody. But I'm going to keep doing these videos. We're going to do college football, NFL. And once the season starts, I'm going to do game breakdowns, things like that. So if you enjoy betting, I just want to share the tools of the trade that I've learned over the years in this thing. And do me a favor. Subscribe so you don't miss a video. Hit the notification bell. I'll see you next time.